Welcome to the D-Minus Diaries, Episode 39, A New Perspective on Flock, by Jim Jones. We hope you enjoy this podcast while you drive, ride, roam, or drone. There's a knock at your door. It's the police. They tell you that sometime in the early morning your neighbor's mother and her 10-year-old have been murdered and they need your help. You have a Ring doorbell camera and they ask if you'd be willing to check your camera's app to see if you caught anything. You bring your phone to the door, pull up the app, and see a man getting into a red Jeep and driving off at 8:07 a.m. You show it to the officer and he asks if you'd be kind enough to share it. They hand you a thumb drive to download it onto. As they leave your house, they notice a security camera on another neighbor's home across the street, so they walk over and knock on that door. It's a different angle, and this one catches something the first camera missed: a dent in the rear fender as the Jeep pulls away from the victim's house, and a sticker on the back window that isn't quite clear enough to read. Once again, they ask the homeowner the same thing. She agrees. No warrant, no subpoena, just good neighbors, in the right place at the right time. The officer radios the vehicle description to the command center and transmits the video. Investigators cross-reference the Jeep against flock camera data and get a hit, this time clear enough to pick up both the tag and that sticker on the back window. It's the logo of a rock band. The same vehicle is picked up by another traffic camera at 8:14 a.m. near a 7-Eleven a few blocks away, turning onto another road. 10 minutes later, another camera picks the Jeep up again, this time heading out of town toward the county line, onto a service road that barely gets used. Investigators run the plate through the DMV and pull up the registered address, a house out past the county line sitting just off that same service road. It's starting to look like he simply drove home. A doorbell camera near the turnoff catches the Jeep making the final turn onto the service road, right where the registration says he lives. Within 15 minutes, investigators have the car, the driver, and the address confirmed. They deploy a drone to fly over the property, and it shows the Jeep parked out back, exactly where it's supposed to be. 30 minutes after that, officers converge on the suspect and take him into custody. Running the plate's registration is what led them straight to him, and the name rang a bell. Patrol had responded to a domestic disturbance call at the victim's home 3 weeks earlier. He was her boyfriend, a fairly new one, and a records check turned up a history of prior arrests for abusing women in past relationships. Total time from the initial call to the arrest, 4.5 hours. Notice what didn't happen anywhere in that story. No warrant, no subpoena, no judge signing off on anything. 2 neighbors said yes, a business's traffic camera did its job, and a private license plate network filled in everything in between. That's not automatically sinister, it's simply how processes work, or maybe it is how they get worked around. I don't like any of this tracking business. See my episode 36, When Security Spies on Liberty, inside the new digital surveillance ecosystem. But as for now, all of these surveillance tools are legal until the courts or legislation says different, because the reality is, right now they're legal, and until a court or legislature says otherwise, that's not going to change. Cameras are genuinely everywhere now. Doorbells, gas stations, traffic signals, service roads that barely get used, and flock is only one piece of that puzzle. What made the difference in that case wasn't the cameras existing, it was the speed. A process of elimination that might once have taken investigators days of canvassing tape by hand instead took minutes. That speed is the entire selling point, and it's real. But it's worth remembering that this is still a fairly new technology, and new technology makes mistakes. That's not unique to Flock. It has been true of nearly every investigative tool law enforcement has ever adopted, from fingerprinting to DNA testing to the first radar guns. The tools tend to get better with time, but they rarely arrive perfect, and the mistakes made along the way land on real people. Keep both of those things in mind as we go. This week I am traveling with a retired state trooper and insurance fraud investigator. He told me countless stories on how Flock's technology and new technologies have helped stop, catch, and convict criminals. As I told him of my concerns, he told me about a family that was mowed down during a carjacking in Memphis, and then he said, "What if that was your family?" Fair enough. So, after digging into this again, I did notice that I have not seen many law enforcement leaders saying, "Turn them off." Some of what I learned reinforced my concerns, some of it surprised me, and some of it forced me to give Flock more credit than I originally expected. Just how big is Flock? Flock has become one of the largest automated license plate reader networks in the country. Current reporting puts Flock at roughly 120,000 cameras operating across 49 states, while Flock says its technology is used by more than 5,000 law enforcement agencies. Some of the most recent reporting puts that number closer to 7,000, and thousands of communities. Those cameras do much more than snap a photograph of a license plate. They can record a vehicle's plate, make, model, color, time, and location. That information becomes searchable, allowing an investigator to look backward through stored data or receive alerts when a vehicle of interest passes a camera. That capability is exactly what makes Flock both valuable and controversial. And Flock does solve crimes. Any fair discussion of Flock has to acknowledge this. There are documented cases in which Flock technology has played an important role in finding kidnapped children, locating homicide suspects, recovering stolen vehicles, and breaking up criminal operations. In Colorado in 2025, for example, Flock technology assisted law enforcement in 3 major cases in a single week, 2 Amber Alerts, and a homicide investigation. In one case, a 16-year-old girl who had reportedly been forced into a vehicle was located, recovered safely, and the suspect arrested. In Parker, Colorado, police investigating a fatal shooting had a description of the suspect's vehicle. Flock data helped identify and locate it, contributing to the capture of the suspect within hours. There are older examples as well. When 1-year-old Mateo Montufar Barrera was kidnapped at gunpoint in Georgia in 2020, license plate reader technology helped police locate the suspect's vehicle and recover the child safely. In LaGrange, Georgia, investigators working a homicide had surveillance video of a suspect vehicle but couldn't read the plate. Flock data helped investigators narrow down the vehicle and identify a suspect. According to the account published by Flock, investigators essentially broke the case within about 12 hours. Flock technology has also assisted investigations involving organized vehicle and catalytic converter theft, missing elderly people, and stolen vehicles. Flock itself estimates that its technology supported approximately 1 million law enforcement investigations in 2025. That last number deserves an asterisk. It comes from Flock's own analysis, so I would not treat it as an independently verified national crime statistic. But the individual success stories are real enough to make an important point. Flock's usefulness cannot simply be dismissed. But that's also the problem. The same capability that allows police to locate a kidnapped child can potentially locate you, or me, or anyone else driving on a public road covered by the network. The technology itself doesn't know whether the person being searched for is a murderer, a kidnapper, a witness, an ex-girlfriend, or an ordinary citizen who has done absolutely nothing wrong. The safeguards surrounding the person operating the system therefore become extremely important. According to Flock, searches must include a reason connected to an investigation. Searches are tied to individual user accounts and logged with a user ID and timestamp. Supervisors can review those searches through audit tools. Flock also says search information is permanently preserved in its audit trail. That creates accountability that traditional surveillance systems may not provide. And lately, those audit trails have revealed something important. People have abused the system. Police misuse isn't hypothetical. Recent investigations have uncovered improper searches by law enforcement personnel. In Georgia alone, officers have been investigated, disciplined, fired, and even arrested in connection with alleged improper use of license plate reader systems. In Fayetteville, 3 officers were fired after an internal audit reportedly discovered searches involving their own vehicles and vehicles belonging to relatives or acquaintances without legitimate law enforcement purposes. Albany, Georgia, fired 5 officers following an investigation, with several cases directly involving alleged ALPR misuse. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation has since arrested and charged all 5 with misuse of license plate data and violation of oath of office. A recent audit in Savannah reviewed roughly 40,000 searches, flagged 127 of them for supervisory review, and ultimately determined 34 were inappropriate. Similar concerns have surfaced elsewhere around the country. There are two ways to look at that. Critics can say, "See, this technology can be abused." They are right. Flock can respond, and our audit system allowed that abuse to be discovered. They have a point too. Both statements can be true. Flock can also be wrong. There is another issue that deserves attention. Technology makes mistakes. Recent reporting has documented cases in which automated license plate readers misread plates or where inaccurate or outdated information contributed to innocent motorists being subjected to police stops. One particularly troubling case involved a camera misreading a character on a license plate. The resulting alert contributed to an innocent motorist being arrested and injured by a police dog before authorities determined the vehicle wasn't the one they were looking for. That doesn't necessarily mean the technology should be abandoned. It does mean a flock alert should be treated as investigative information requiring verification, not unquestionable proof that the driver of a vehicle committed a crime. Computers can be wrong, so can cops. Combining the two doesn't magically eliminate either problem. What about destroying the cameras? There is a quiet rebellion going on across the nation. Some opponents have responded to flock cameras by vandalizing or attempting to disable them. That isn't much of a solution. Depending on state law and the circumstances, intentionally destroying someone else's camera can result in vandalism, criminal mischief, destruction of property, or other charges. And destroying one camera doesn't destroy flock. The equipment can be replaced. So consider the irony. A person who doesn't want to be tracked destroys a surveillance camera, potentially commits a crime, consumes police and court resources, gets the camera replaced, and may end up with a criminal record. To become less trackable, he may have just made himself considerably more interesting to law enforcement. Not exactly a victory for privacy. So where does that leave me? Pretty much where good questions usually leave me. With more questions. Flock safety isn't easily categorized as either good or evil. The technology has helped locate kidnapped children. It has helped investigators find homicide suspects. It has recovered stolen vehicles and assisted investigations that might otherwise have taken considerably longer. Those aren't hypothetical benefits, neither are the risks. A nationwide system capable of telling police where a murder suspect's vehicle traveled can potentially provide information about where an innocent citizen traveled. A system powerful enough to find a kidnapped child is powerful enough to be abused by someone with access to it. And a system that produces remarkably useful information can still produce bad information. Perhaps that is the real lesson from my update. The debate over flock shouldn't simply be about whether the technology works. It clearly can. The more important questions are who can use it, what constitutes a legitimate search, how long the information should be retained, how widely that information should be shared, whether searches should require warrants or some other legal threshold, and what happens when someone abuses the system. Technology has a habit of outrunning the rules we create to govern it. Flock appears to be doing exactly that. I don't think the answer is pretending the technology has no value, and I don't think the answer is giving government unlimited access to it simply because it helps solve crimes. The challenge is finding the line between public safety and personal liberty, and increasingly that line isn't painted on the highway, it's being recorded by a camera above it. If you want to know if you are on the flock list, go to haveibeenflocked.com. Please leave a comment and like, subscribe, and share. It really helps. Thanks for listening. Jim D. Jones.